Welcome back to 30 Something, where I talk all things personal finance, investing, and medicine. In the video today, I'm going to review my net worth as calculated at the end of February. I started calculating my net worth at the end of last year as a way to track where I'm at with regards to wealth building, financial independence, and just for a bit of encouragement along the way. So far, it has been both eye-opening and a little confronting, as this month my net worth has headed in the wrong direction. There are a few reasons why this has happened, and I'll explain these further in this video. I will just very quickly apologise for my absence in the last few weeks. I've had some family and personal stuff going on and did not have time to prepare a video. I have a few partially done videos in the woodwork, so I'll catch up on these and post them over the next few weeks. From now on, I'll probably just be posting once a week with perhaps a bonus video every now and then. So let's jump into the video. Firstly, I'd just like to quickly cover what I include in my calculations for my net worth, as different people include different things. My assets, or the money I own, include my superannuation, or my retirement fund as most people would know it, my bank and cash savings, my investments, and my car goes in here as well, though it's not worth much at all these days. I don't include the value of my possessions, such as my furniture and clothes, just because it's too hard to accurately calculate. Other things that could be included in this if I own them was something like a home, as this would be a pretty big asset with usually a big liability against it, being a home loan. So my personal liabilities include my debts. In this case, my smallest one is my credit card. And even though I pay it in full prior to the interest kicking in, I do include it because it does offset my savings. I usually have it set aside in a savings account. The other debt I have, and the biggest debt and the biggest thing that affects my net worth, is my student loan, or as it's called in Australia, my HECS debt. This, just to explain what a HECS debt is for those who don't know, it's an interest-free government loan that is indexed yearly to inflation. There's a compulsory repayment that we do it on our pre-tax income once it reaches over $48,000 a year. And the percentage that we require to pay back every year increases as our pay increments up. This is paid off in bulk at tax time once our tax returns are done, which in Australia happens in July and August. Usually I'm pretty quick and do it at the beginning of August. This year, with the amount I've earned, I'll probably pay back about $8,000, and then this will make my HECS debt go down at the time. It is indexed in about May or June, so it will jump up before it goes back down after I pay my thing. Other liabilities that I don't have would include any car, house, or personal loans. I just don't have them. So let's dive deep into the actual numbers now and explanations why my net worth has actually decreased this month. So firstly, my biggest asset is my superannuation. It's gone up ever so slightly this month, mostly from the compulsory employer contributions. Currently in Australia, employers have to put in 9.5% of our pay, and I usually end up between $250 and $350 per fortnight contributed from my employer. This money is then invested as per your own choice in risk tolerance. Mine's in a high-risk portfolio. I'm young, and it doesn't really matter if it fluctuates that much. Lately, the share market has been pretty volatile, and in the last week, it's taken a pretty big dip, which has actually affected all my investments in this, and why my net worth has gone, part of the reason why, but not the biggest part, why my net worth has gone down. At the end of the month, however, my super is at $41,364, which has gone up from last month slightly. Then my next asset is my Vanguard account. I contributed $600 to it, bringing it up to $1,642.09. I had to invest an extra $100. I usually only invest $500, so I could buy full units as required by Vanguard. Unfortunately, I was a couple dollars short, and I thought I'd just put a whole $100 in so that this doesn't happen again. I'm hoping that as the year goes on, my dividends will be enough to cover this extra amount, and I won't actually have to put any more than 500 except if by choice, which hopefully later in the year I'll be making enough money to start investing a little bit more, as well as saving more in my cash accounts. It's funny though, because my Vanguard account actually, as of yesterday, the first of the month, has jumped back to 21 positive again, even though it was -8 when I looked at it on Sunday. So I've just taken the end of the month. And that's just why I invest in these things for the long term, because it fluctuates so much in the short term. So the next investments that I have is my Spaceship account. This is a managed fund. It's a micro investing platform, so you can invest as little as $5 in it at a time. I put 50 a fortnight. It totals $622.37 at the moment, which is still positive since I started dollar cost averaging $50 a fortnight into it a couple of months ago. It did go down considerably when you compare it to the week prior, but that's just what happened with the share market this month. Other assets I have is my car, which I will just always value at $2,000 at the moment, because that's what I realistically believe it would sell for if I chose to sell it. I'm not planning on selling it at the moment, but it is getting a little rough around the corners, and I will probably need to upgrade at some point soon. Then lastly is my cash accounts. This is what's really dipped in this last month. Firstly, part of that reason was that I had a change of jobs in the last month. As a result, I actually missed out on a whole half of pay, because I only got half a pay, and with the change I had to wait for my next lot of pays because the fortnights were different, and so I ended up only with 1.5 pays instead of the usual 2 I get in a month. My my new job, I should say, is actually a lower pay rate as well than my other job, and I don't do any overtime in that job, and I don't get weekend loadings and things that I got. So that's also another reason why it's gone down. It will go up in August as my base, and as I start seeing more patients, I will earn more, which I may explain in another video how that works once it starts happening and I have some examples. But at the moment, I'm only seeing minimal amounts of patients, so that I haven't reached even nearly my limit of, actually almost did last fortnight. I almost earned over the amount, but it wouldn't have been very much if I had. So I'm not counting on it. I'm basing my budget off my base income, and if I get any extra, that will be extra savings and investments, which will be great. The other reason why I didn't get as much money this month was because I was expecting in my head that I would get a payout of all my leave from the state health department I was working for up until the end of January. Unfortunately, they still haven't paid out the probably about $7,000 worth of leave that I have accrued and not taken prior to leaving. They have told me that I can't contact them until Thursday this week. I think they've made a mistake, because the online system that you can log into still says I'm employed at a hospital that I'm not employed at, and I haven't worked there in a year, so I'm not sure why that's happened. And I didn't get the letter and email that they said I should have. So I will chase that up on Thursday. There will be a phone call to chase when that will be, so hopefully that will come in this month and bump up my expense and pay off for that course that I spent, which was where I was heading next. I spent $3,500 on a course for work. It's a child health diploma. Part of being a doctor is forever learning. Part of being a registrar or a doctor in training is trying to increase our skills, as well as making ourselves more employable. It's just part of the package. I feel like I need some extra structure and learning around this, and it will help for exams next year. So you end up spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on courses in medicine, as well as, I probably have about $10,000 in exam fees later in the year, for example. So it's just been a really expensive month with all that going on, and I do expect that a lot of this cash will come back in March, so hopefully I'll see a nice jump in my net worth next month. So then we'll go down to... So in the end, my cash savings have gone down to $8,337.64. Next, we'll look at my liabilities. I only have two liabilities, as I mentioned previously. My biggest one is my HEX debt, or my student loan, which is around $83,500. My other liabilities is my credit card, which at the end of this month totaled $842.48. I did have plans to completely pay off and keep zeroing the credit card from now on, but due to my lower income this month and the fact that I spent so much on courses, I just really needed to focus on other things. I'm okay with where I'm at and know that this will all head in the right direction in March, in this month. So, and I have no surprise, hopefully there's no surprise expenses or sudden urges to buy more courses for work, so it should go in the right direction. The good thing about the fact that most of these expenses were work related is that at tax time I will get a really nice healthy tax return, as a lot of my expenses this month were tax deductible. So here's my overview page of my net worth. The beginning balance in the left-hand column is what my net worth was at the beginning of 2021, beginning of January. And then the current balance is the last day of February. My net worth from this view is still in the correct direction, as in it's heading, I suppose, up because they're in the negative. But it, compared to last month, as we'll see on the next slide or shortly, is that it did go down by a couple of thousand this month in the wrong direction, unfortunately. So the good thing is my super has continued to go up by a few $1,000s this year. My Vanguard account has increased, as I said earlier, purely from my own contributions as of the 28th of February. My Spaceship has been doing well and growing nicely since the beginning of the year and has got all the way up into the 600s now. And I will just continue on this path with my investments, investing as I do now until the end of this year. My car is the same and won't change. My cash savings have really plummeted. They've gone down $5,000. My aim over the next month, particularly as I get a bit of extra money from the health department I was working for, is to put all this back into my cash accounts and to continue the current investments with the Vanguard and the Spaceship and not add any extra to that at this point in time. My liabilities overall have gone down, which is good, as I had a lot of furniture on my credit card at the beginning of the year, and that's all been paid off now. And I have no plans on buying big furniture items in the future. My house has enough furniture now, which is great. And I will be zeroing my credit card at the end of this month. That will happen either way because $800 is very manageable. And then on my credit card, I really won't spend very much on it, just occasional food, because that's the card I know the numbers for. So that's the card that the food goes on when I buy things on apps. And I do have the occasional bill that comes out of that credit card, but I'll just be paying it off as soon as it's out there. It'll only be in the negatives for a couple of days max. And after all these liabilities, assets, once you take them, the assets and negative the liabilities, my net worth at the end of February comes to negative $30,570.65, which is so sad to say. So the net worth, it's down from negative $27,960 a month ago. It could have been worse, let's be honest, but I did know that nothing would offset the paying $3,500 for a course. Unfortunately, being a doctor in training is expensive, as I said earlier, and it's just part of the process. Maybe at some point in the future, if people are interested, I can do a video on some of the expenses that a doctor pays throughout their career, because it's actually quite expensive, and I don't know that people completely understand how much money is being paid. But we get a good income and it offsets it, so not complaining. It's just something that I don't think I really understood how expensive being a doctor, particularly one in training, would be. So I hope this isn't gotten too repetitive, but yep, I have a negative $30,000 net worth this month. It's just a little blip in the process. It's gone the wrong direction, but I'm aware that over the times things like this will happen because you can't control everything in your life. You can't control the share market, which goes up and down. And there will be some big expenses in my life which will make my net worth go down at times, including those pesky exams that were coming up in a year that will probably cost close to $10,000. I thought I would just cover my net worth goals for March, and that included, as I already mentioned, zeroing my credit card. I'd love to return my emergency fund to $5,000. I had to dip into it a little bit this month with all the expenses and changes. Plus, I want to add another $500 because I'd love to build that up to $10,000 across the year. I want to build my work expense account up to $1,000 this month. It's currently sitting at $700, so that's just another $300, and I should easily be able to do that. I'm going to continue investing, as I already said, and I'd love to see my net worth drop below the negative $27,000 and go below the end of January amount, because I would love to see it getting closer to positive, because that's really what I'm aiming for by the middle of this year. I'm not sure that I'll get there, but it's good to have goals and to be able to working towards things, and I just love seeing the changes anyways either way, and I look forward to celebrating when it gets to that point. So that's it for my February net worth video. Thanks for joining me and watching it. I have a playlist with all my other net worth videos that I'll add to as I do more along the way, so if you wanted to catch up or follow the journey towards this positive net worth and financial independence, then follow along. You can go check it out. Leave me a comment or a like in the video if you want to, constructive or otherwise. Just a nice note would be lovely. I would like to note that I will delete any inappropriate or rude comments. Unfortunately, I did have someone come and comment something a bit nasty, attacking my character based on a comment on another channel's video, which was completely misunderstood and taken out of context. I do love open, honest communication, and I really want to encourage that on my channel. But please remember that I'm a person with feelings, and that I'm not sharing every single thing about my life on here. I want to be as open as possible and feel safe to do that. So thank you to those who have written such lovely, encouraging, constructive comments. I very much appreciate it. And if you have listened this far, well done. You're amazing. Bye.